I want to talk about the most important thing that Tommy said to me when I went to visit him in prison. Now, allegedly there's gagging orders going to be flying about all over the place. Well, let's just see how that goes. What are they going to gag us for? For having a laugh and a joke with Tommy in prison? Can we not relay any of that information? Can we not relay how we lifted his spirits and the conversations that we had about his friends and his family? Can we not talk about that? That's by the by. And I think what needs to happen, I mean, obviously I was in a rage when I did a video yesterday. Probably shouldn't have done a video in a rage, but I think everything I said was very valid. But the truth of the matter is, I think Jeff Taylor's put in a freedom of information request to find out on what grounds they're trying to gag people that go in to see Tommy, which I think is an excellent idea. And, you know, this again has to be open to legal challenge, because how can they stop people talking about what they've discussed with Tommy when they come out of the prison? We're not paid journalists. We're people who've got a voice because of social media, and people who come out and talk about what we've discussed with Tommy because he's our friend, and we also think it's the public have a right to know what Tommy's saying when he has discussions with others in prison. So I'm sure the legality of that can be challenged. The question is, has anybody got the money or the time to take up that challenge? But putting all that aside, what was the most important discussion that me and Tommy had when I went into prison to meet him? And I think without a doubt, the most important issue that we discussed was what he wants to do, what his plans are when he comes out of prison, for himself, for people around him, and obviously for the country. We must not forget that Tommy Robinson, despite not standing for any political party, despite not being party political, is probably one of the most important political figures in the United Kingdom. And it would do well for certain people in the higher echelons of reform to take that on board as well. But we'll leave that one there. I've said enough about that, and everyone knows my opinion on that. But what does Tommy want? Or what did Tommy say that he wants? And I don't think his position will have changed a great deal since I spoke to him. And Tommy's quite clear. He wants to build a cultural movement, a peaceful, intelligent, loving, all those things, cultural movement that is there for the betterment of the United Kingdom. And the principles of that cultural movement will be based around the principles that we've spoken about in the pledge and we've promoted in the pledge in the last 3 or 4 months. So what does that look like? And what does he mean by a cultural movement? What he means is bringing people together from all political backgrounds and none, and helping people to fall in love with this great nation. And that's people irrespective of their background. It's people that genuinely love the United Kingdom. And again, I've just done a video talking about what happened in Germany. If that guy that did what he did had fallen in love with German culture and German history and wanted to become a Saudi Arabian German, he could have done that, but he didn't. He chose not to do that. He chose to be an enemy of Germany and an enemy of the German people. And that's what we want to prevent with our cultural movement. We want to bring people together. It's called Uniting the Kingdom. And that was Tommy's big message, was this is about uniting everybody in a common cause. That's why he's invited Reform to come and speak at the event in September. And again, I was very heartened by Andre Walker saying that he's coming in September. He's a member of the Conservative Party, big light on Talk TV, and he's coming to the event in September. And what Tommy wants is, he wants that event in September to be the biggest demonstration for freedom the United Kingdom's ever seen. That was massively part of his message. He also wants to continue with his filmmaking. He also wants to continue as a citizen journalist. Now, I'm not speaking on behalf of Tommy on this, but the impression I got was he's not wanting to become party political. He wants to work with all parties on the right that are sensible. Obviously, he's not going to work with the ethno-nat fascist party. He's never going to work with them because he's fundamentally, ideologically opposed to them. But what he is willing to do is work with anybody that's willing to try and sort this country out and save this country. And of course, whenever he's incarcerated, he has a lot of time to think. And talking to him, he's been thinking a great deal about everything that's going on in the world and everything that's happening. So that's the main takeaway. That's the most important message that Tommy gave me when I was visiting him in prison. That he wants to build this cultural movement so that there's millions of people in it. So that people that's never been culturally or politically engaged become politically engaged. They join the community. They become part of the family, the Uniting the Kingdom family, the family that believes in the principles that are laid out in the pledge. That's what this is all about. It's about getting a people with a shared sense of purpose, a shared sense of belonging, a love for country and a love for each other. And what he's really about, and this is the thing that people miss with Tommy, he's not about division. He's about bringing people together for the common good. He's about bringing people together to win the country back peacefully and democratically. And of course, at some point in this coming together, it's what Nick Buckby called the Grand Coalition. And this is why Tommy's still reaching out to reform. This is why Tommy's still talking about UKIP and other political parties. Why he's still talking about wanting to meet people like Ben Habib. Because he knows that the only way we can do this is by bringing everybody together in what Nick Buckby called this Grand Coalition. But again, honestly, I don't believe, again, for having spoken to him, I spoke to him on numerous occasions on this, but again, when he's in prison, I don't believe he has political ambitions himself. He's happy for other people to do that. But he wants to help guide it in the right direction and guide his mass following in the right direction. And that lays down a challenge to all the political parties to put aside differences, to make sure that you're not going off on the left on one extreme or on the far right on the other extreme. You've got to be in that sweet spot that the pledge represents. And that was the message that I got from my meeting with Tommy. That was the important message. That was the important takeaway. That he wants to keep building this cultural movement. He wants this cultural movement to be the biggest cultural movement that's ever been seen in British history. And then, when we're in the tens of millions, we'll be able to peacefully, through the democratic process, take our country back. Because believe you me, if you have a cultural movement that has tens of millions of people involved in it, you will take the country back. So that was my takeaway. That's what they're trying to censor. That's what they're trying to silence. I could talk about all the stuff about Southport. I could talk about all the other stuff. And the reality is other people have done that. To me, the most important point is that Tommy wants to bring people together. He wants to unify. When he says uniting the kingdom, he means it. Black, white, brown, yellow. He doesn't care about skin colour. Neither do I. Neither do any of the rest of us in this. We're not playing the identity politics game that the far left play, and in fact that the far right play. We're not playing that game. We want people that genuinely love our country to be prosperous, free, and happy. That's a good dream. That's a good vision for the country. And he's doing time because he believes in that vision. He's doing time because he believes in bringing the country together. So I'm going to leave it there. That's all you need to know about what Tommy said to me in prison. Because really nothing else matters. It's what's happening in the future that counts. The plans that he's got for when he comes out that counts. Not what we talked about before. And again, that event in September, we haven't got the date yet, but clear your diary in September because it's going to be sometime in September. And it's going to be massive. And we're going to have to find a location that's going to hold maybe 250,000, 300,000 people. See you all soon.